Welcome to the Mai-Wel Group, an organisation built on community support and a belief in equality and integration for all.
Mai-Wel was established in November 1960.
A number of families
Shared their concerns,
regarding the lack of education
support and lack of opportunities.
for their children with a disability.
And it was very daunting because that we were told that if he started there that we would have to raise funds to get the school going. Well, we didn't even have a teacher properly then.
No, it was a retired teacher we had.
Yes, Mrs. Rose, wasn't
Yes,
it?
but they were good days, they were happy days.
Oh yes, but we were always on the streets, weren't we?
That's right.
Selling raffle tickets.
That's right.
Some of my friends used to cross to the other side of the street. They got so sick of me.
We raised money for the school with the fights. We used to make aprons, slippers, bags. My mother used to make pot holders, tea towels.
It was 50 odd years ago when the then Mayor of Maitland, Alderman Skilton, and I, he in his 80s and I in my 30s, were present and made foundation patrons of this wonderful organisation which has transformed the lives of so many of our beautiful young people and their families.
All kinds of work, mostly chicken trays, putting brothers on them and packing them in the boxes, ready for steggles. Mr. and Mrs. Warby come and asked the boss, could I go up to the op shop? And I went up there and stayed till I was 2005 when it closed.
Today the Mai-Wel Group is one of the largest disability service providers in the Lower Hunter region,
providing services and programs to more than 800 people with a disability.
I liked accompanying one of the young ladies to one of the balls that you used to may still put them on, I don't know. I've probably become a little bit old. I probably get giddy in a pride of air in these days.
My first remembrance of is 3 army huts arriving, making curtains and things for the windows. But I can remember the baits and all the different things the auxiliary used to put on, the concerts. And
We started to make bags and stools and slippers because we were getting ready to go over to the workshop. We raised that much money to go to the workshop get built. I can remember Mr. Everett, Mr. Hicks and Mrs. Warby, and they used to run it. My mother used to go to one side of the classroom and they used to do housing, and that raised money too.
when we went from the dogs, we went, everything was on, you could sell a ticket at.
Yeah, the auxiliary was like a little social club for all us mothers. We all had our same problems and we could talk to one another and discuss our problems, and it was a social club for us as well. We did all these great things, and we would entertain the boys and girls and entertain ourselves at the same time.
The opening day was a fairly small one, mainly involving the parents and the young people and a few civic representatives, but I saw it grow. I had the privilege of opening the great fetes here for 18 or 19 years, the move to this site. Fairly Spartan buildings. I think from memory there were 1 or 2 army huts here at one stage. I'd have to test my memory on that. But they're quite magnificent these days, and that's due to the support of so many, and of course governments too. The move into the South Street School, the Rotary or Lions clubs donating the pool for our young people to swim in. I've seen it all, but it's been a very precious part of my life.
As the years progressed and the students grew,
as did the organising and the range of service Mother had to offer,
including training, employment and residential support.
Mai-Wel has impacted myself and my family in a huge way. My daughter was born fairly normal and became severely disabled after a rare illness. But as she progressed through high school, it became very difficult to wonder what was available for her afterwards. Fortunately, the Mai-Wel group was available near our home, and we feel very, very honoured to have her as a person who attends Mai-Wel on a daily basis.
I first came to Mai-Wel when I was 18. It was back in 2002. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I first came to Hunter Labour Force Solutions and ended up liking the staff there, the way they treat people, and they got me into the post-school options there. I was nervous on my first day there, and I thought, what am I doing? And it all turned out good at the end. They got me doing a library run when I first started there, delivering library books. After a year or two, they got me doing work experience here at Paysetters, and after a few weeks, Bill offered me a part-time job, which led to full-time employment.
So I started volunteering down at what used to be the Warby Centre down in High Street, and I volunteered with the High Support group. So we'd take them out swimming, we'd take them out for lunches, to the gym and places like that. From there I progressed and volunteered an extra day a week, so I was volunteering 2 days a week at the Warby Centre, and then it was from there that I got offered casual employment. So I worked casually at the Warby Centre, and I worked among 2 programs, and from there I just picked up extra shifts as they come along, which then led to a permanent position in day programs.
I just walked into Mai-Wel, and after Courtney was doing some transitioning at high school, and I felt very comfortable. I'm a great believer in a parent's gut feeling of somewhere where you're going to go, and I just felt I had a really good feeling about Mai-Wel and the opportunities that were available for my daughter.
I was advised that we were living at Karua, and for some reason we were able to get in here by taxi. When the workshop opened, Mark was one of the first, to go into the workshop. He was at that age, he was just 16, leaving school 16, yeah, and he worked, and he's been 40 years working here.
It was first when I was in Year 9 that Erin came up to me and she asked me to join Hunter Labour Force, and I was I wanted a job, but I didn't know much about it, and I did some work experience, the video shop, and I exited the program because I was still doing school to Year 12. Then I joined in to get started program. Then here I am in transition to work.
The school was already functioning when my son went. It had just started functioning, and I didn't have to pay fees, but I had to raise money. We had the auxiliary, and we were always raising money for one thing or another. But one of the first memories was, oh, what am I going to do with my son? Where's he going to go? And then we heard about South Street Special School, and they put me in touch with Nola and Gordon. And Nola says she still remembers this little couple going up with their son to find out all about the school, and it was the best thing Lawrence had. Wonderful time there, and a good education as far as he was able to learn, which was all that we could ask for. It was really, really good.
Without Mai-Wel, I probably never have gotten paid employment. I'd probably be lazing around at home all day. They've taught me new skills. They've taught me skills that I thought I'd never be able to do with my disability.
Well, I answered a newspaper advertisement that was asking for a support worker with a printing background, and the reason for that was that Mai-Wel wanted to start a business where people with a disability could be employed in printing and all the associated tasks that involved. That was back at the end of 1994. I had no idea what working for a disability service would be like, but it didn't take me very long at all to realise that people with a disability are just ordinary people who need support so they could keep their job. Well, this is my 20th year at Mai-Wel. I've seen enormous growth in this organisation. We only had 53 people employed at Mai-Wel back then, supported employees, and our staff meetings were about 14 or 15 people around the table out here in the lunchroom.
The method of raising money through the walkathon, and particularly to the fellow that organised it, Bern Yateman. He organised that for 7 years, and that involved police, Hunter Valley Coach Company, communications, the town hall, the council and the service clubs. It was in 1968. There was 2013 walkers took place and raised $32,000. And in due course it enabled us to build the original building here.
Today we have about 900 people on clients. We employ over 350 staff, and our services that we offer are wide and varied, so that we're one of the premier services in New South Wales, in the Hunter, and highly regarded in the sector. It's been enormous growth.
The Mai-Wel Group was one of the first disability organisations in Australia
to gain quality assurance accreditation and continues to promote best practice.
They made me feel comfortable, the staff in particular. Every time I went in, when Courtney was transitioning from high school, she spent a day a week at Mai-Wel for about a month or so, and I was able to visit the centre, and when I saw her happiness at going there, it made me feel really comfortable. I met a lot of the other clients, and I met a lot of staff who were going to work with her. And that just made me feel comfortable, knowing some of the activities they did, which was amazing to me to think that my daughter would be continuing to sail. She did sailing at high school, sailing, swimming, just being out in the community and not having anything that would stop her from doing anything that an able-bodied person would do. And I know at times it's very difficult, I think, for them to take her places as she's high support needs. They have to have a wheelchair with her when she goes on for long distances, but just to have all of those opportunities available and knowing that my daughter would have such a wonderful quality of life and a really social type of life was just amazing.
Well, I think I've become a lot more independent, way more independent, because I was very insecure about myself. You know, I never had many friends together. I didn't know where I was going. I thought, you know, my whole life playing games and, you know, on the doll. I've made heaps of friends. I have a girlfriend now. You know, I have a pretty good future because of them.
We had one woman whose whole world was her home in Rutherford, and the furthest she'd been was school in the Lochinvar area. We used to have social events at Time Savers, the business that I was working at, and we this one Saturday decided to go to Taronga Park Zoo. You can imagine the difference that has been for that woman. She came with us. She experienced travelling on a train for the first time, travelling on a ferry for the first time, seeing the big smoke, multicultural Sydney experience, and all the animals. So all she'd experienced is cats and dogs. What a door that opened for her. And now she can realise that it's not that scary out there in the big world. That was an amazing thing. There are many examples I could give you of where doors have been opened for people and their lives have been changed. And that's what Mai-Wel's about. It's about advancing the lives of people with a disability. And I've seen that many, many times.
Courtney can't speak, or she has her own language, I guess. But I know for a fact that when the bus is coming, that's another thing, is the independence from the bus trips. When the bus comes to collect her each morning, she's always sticky-beaking out the door to see who the driver is, and she gets very excited getting on the bus and seeing her friends who are there, because they are her friends and the people she works with each day, and just the activities that she does. I know some days she comes home exhausted, and I know she's had a great day.
They started doing supported holidays for the clients here who don't normally get to take a holiday. They could take a holiday, staff could support them in taking a holiday. They started that around 2006. They took us over to New Zealand. We drove around the North Island for a week. That was a pretty awesome experience. I ended up falling in love with the country of New Zealand. They took us to a cultural show, and they took us to some caves that had the glowworms in. Took us to one of those geothermal parks where they had the steam geysers and the mud pools, and I'd never liked doing travelling, and Mai-Wel gave me the confidence to enjoy travelling. And
I made a lot of friends, and I knew a lot of the ladies too. I used to play cricket with the boys. I couldn't throw the ball, but I used to hit them. And I had a boyfriend there. His name was Leslie. And he was my only boyfriend. I know he's looking down on me.
Their parents felt they were blessed that the young people could come here and have their lives changed. From there, of course, great things happened with the provision of decent buildings, proper accommodation. Some were able to stay here, and it's just been a wonderful success story, one of the best in the world.
Yeah, so from my time commencing at Mai-Wel, I've seen evolve a great deal, from even the restructure up at our head office due to new clients coming on board requiring new staff and new facilities, etc. Programs have had to move, purpose-built buildings have had to be built. It's great because it goes to show that there's more people out there with disabilities accessing services.
today, the Mai-Wel Group is one of the largest disability providers in the Lower Hunter region, providing services and programs
to more than 800 people with disabilities.
As a teacher, I deal with children with special needs coming through my classroom. I think knowing that there's something there, it's the most important thing, knowing that there's something there after school. School is always a safe haven for everybody. You know, everybody's been to school and you don't really think of what's going to happen in the future to them. But as they get older, you start to think the reality hits and you think they're going to have to live in the society that we live in. And there's nothing much else to study for them after school. But it's just wonderful, I think, that children like Courtney can get their HSC. She was school captain of the high school. All of those things are so important in a person's life, and I think Mai-Wel is somewhere that we can go to where people like Courtney can have a quality of life. They can have just as fulfilling a life, albeit I think Courtney's social life is a lot more busy than mine. Even things like going to the club for Melbourne Cup Day. As a parent, I would never do that. As a parent, I wouldn't have a Halloween party, or there's lots of things that we wouldn't go to or be participating in. But I think with Mai-Wel, nothing stops them.
I think expanding the variety and the extent of services that we offer, but the expansion of Hunter Labour Force Solutions and the way that now people can achieve employment in the open market, the expansion of our ADEs, our disability enterprises, and the way that now pretty much every area of a person's life can be supported so that they can have a rich and varied life that we all take for granted. But if you need support and you can't achieve these things without support, it makes an enormous difference in people's lives to have someone there who can be that helping hand and take them by the hand and make them have a full and happy life.
I've just seen it get better. When I first came to Mai-Wel, they didn't have supported holidays. Pay setters wasn't that much. In the 10 years, pay setters it's just grown. Been able to do export jobs. That's given us a broad range of what we can do, and I didn't think I'd be able to work with some pretty awesome people. Coming into work, they just make me laugh every day.
Mai-Wel has grown a huge amount since my time, since I first commenced. I can't remember the figures exactly, but even client-wise, when I first started volunteering with Mai-Wel, I supported a group of high support clients of, I think there was about 6 people, and to see the Mai-Wel Community Centre now, it's grown a huge amount.
He's loved every day, and I just feel blessed that we had the school and the workshop. And I think one of the good things to come out of it is the friendships that you make. right to, that carry on with my daughter. You've got friendships through school days, but then everyone disintegrates and goes their separate ways, so you lose touch with their parents. But with Mai-Wel, it's different because they come through school and then onto the workshop, so you have that association right over. And I just felt I've made some wonderful friends, and John has made some wonderful friends.
Yes, and with their friends, they're so loyal to each other and look after each other.
They're very, very caring.
Yes.
And it's grown that much. I used to know everybody here at Mai-Wel once, but not many I know now. It's so big. I think Maitland, the town itself must, really good for Mai-Wel. They didn't ask so much.
I've received even more from Mai-Wel than it's ever received from me. I've just been there as the patron, the sole patron for many, many years, but it's just been such a wonderful part of my life, and there's nothing that I would not do to help. And I think you could say the best is yet to be.
I think one in particular would be the number of friends that she has, because I've had her out in the community sometimes, and people will always walk past and say hello Courtney, and you just wonder where they're from.
It certainly does. I mean, you can't work in an organisation where you're surrounded by positive staff, positive people who are there. Their whole every day of their working life is about making a difference in people's lives, without it changing you as well. It's a great place to work. It's great to come to work every day. I never wake up and sort of think, oh, don't want to go to work, because we're not only, most jobs you're making something, or in the hunter they're manufacturing something, or they're digging something out of the ground, but here we're digging people's lives up and lifting them up. We're making a difference in people's lives, and that's got to be a good thing.
So welcome to the Mai-Wel Group. We hope you enjoy your time with us. Yes.